Over 70 people massacred, a church turned into a grave, and no one's talking about it. In July of 2025, the Allied Democratic Forces, which is the ADF, stormed a church vigil in Kamanda, eastern Congo. They killed dozens, including children, and abducted more. This wasn't a one-time horror. Since the summer, the ADF has hit villages across North Kivu, and Ituri, funerals, markets, homes. Why now? Because as the world focuses on the M23 rebellion and peace deals with Rwanda, the ADF is filling the security vacuum. And these aren't just rebels, they've actually been linked to ISIS, and they've been getting bolder and deadlier. While peace talks ignore them, the ADF is killing in silence. And unless that changes, more churches will burn, and more lives will vanish. This is happening right now in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Stay informed, share this story, talk about it.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Verse or Belly Dirt channel. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I'm gonna be your today's host, and I have so many statistics to put up here, and we're gonna come out to talk about it. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Guys, Congo. We need to be talking about Congo. The same way we're talking about Gaza, the same way we're talking about Ukraine, we need to be talking about Congo. There's a lot of disgusting things happening in that country right now. Women getting raped, children having acid thrown on them. God-forsaken things that are not good. We need to start talking about Congo. Because there's a lot of stuff happening in Congo. Even me, I don't understand what's really happening in Congo right now, but I know there's a war going on, and I know that there's women who are being abused, they are being raped, there's houses being raided, men are being killed, children are being raped, children are having acid thrown at them, children are being abused as we speak. We need to talk about Congo, guys. We need to talk about Congo so that the world will give Congo attention. And the sad thing about this situation, and as to why the West is not talking about Congo, is because they are funding this war. They are funding it. I don't know who's funding it. I don't know where they're funding it. But somebody in the West is funding this war. And that's why they don't want to talk about this war. And yet we have our brothers and sisters in that country suffering at the hands of what? Suffering at the hands of what? Guys, we need to talk about Congo. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's happening. But we need to talk about Congo. So that awareness is brought to the country, so that the world can look in. Because I'm telling you, the same way we are looking at genocide happening in, Gaza, it's the same genocide that's going on in Congo at the moment that we are ignoring as well.
I saw a video of a black girl saying that the reason that she advocates more for Palestine is because Palestinian people market their suffering better than Congo or Sudan. And even this idea that it has to be marketed in a certain way for you to care just actually comes off like you're even more of an apathetic person, because there is so much information online. I don't need to see Congo's G-side being live streamed for me to believe it. I don't need to see what's going on in Sudan in 4K or in a movie for me to know that it's real. I can understand that people don't care about Africa and the suffering of Africans. And so because of that reason alone, that is why I am making sure I keep my eyes on places that are often overlooked and seen as a secondary problem. It's like if you want to stand behind Palestine, that's your thing, do that. But don't make it seem as if Africans are not doing their part in marketing their suffering as to why you don't care. Just say you don't care because you haven't done the research. Just say you don't understand because you haven't done the research. But don't put it on them that they haven't live streamed. Not to mention there's so many people on this app who have explained these situations perfectly, so much detail, so many organizations on this app, and I'll tag some of the people on here who are doing work around Congo, who have explained things and are constantly giving so many updates, but you don't care about those ones because you want it in a certain way. And I just think it's wild to be a black person saying that about about black people.
African youth, African people must mobilize around a free Congo. It is important. It is critical. We all have our internal struggles, absolutely. but a free Congo has to prevail, because we cannot have food sovereignty on our continent without a free Congo. We cannot have regional integration, intra-Africa trade without a free Congo, because Congo is the heart of Africa, in the middle of the continent. If it's not at peace, if it's not thriving, it has to be able to support all of these things that are going on around it. Congo has 9 neighbors, 9 African neighbors, the most of any African country. So very important that we mobilize around a free Congo. Create your own chapter of this kind of network in your country. This Kenya Congo network, create Zimbabwe Congo network, South Africa Congo network. Let us come together to fight for a free Congo. It is a fight of our lives, very important. Something that I did find out though is that a lot of Kenyans, we don't realize that Swahili is a national language of Congo. A huge chunk of Congolese people speak Kiswahili. We did not know that. Tutembe, so that we can understand. They will understand you. We will understand each other. There is no language barrier there. The other thing, because I was speaking English, someone was saying that the Congolese will not be able to understand me. You have to understand that the Congolese are some of the most multilingual people on this earth. They are polyglots. The official language is French. Kiswahili is a national language among others. But they are surrounded by so many countries that some of them speak French. Angola speaks Portuguese. So there can be some Congolese people who speak Portuguese as well. When they're out in the diaspora, the Congolese will pick up whichever language they are, those countries that they go to settle in are speaking. English, German, Norwegian, Dutch. So there are people who are worldly, they are international, they are people of culture, truly. So language barrier is not going to be a problem. We will understand each other. We can fight for Congo together using one voice. Very, very important. Let's continue the conversation. The other thing was the people from Congo Brazzaville coming into my comments talking about you can't say Congo because Congo is... No, I said Congo and I put the DRC flag, and I also said Democratic Republic of the Congo in my video. So you can't come here and start saying Congo is not at war. No, Congo Brazzaville is not at war, blah, blah, blah. That was so weird. I didn't realize that so many of you felt so strongly about not being associated with DRC. I don't know what that's about, but that's not what that's not our fight here. There are 2 Congos, Congo Brazzaville or Republic of Congo, and there's Congo Kinshasa, the Grand Congo, the big Congo. That's the one we're talking about. Anyways, yes, let's continue the conversation. Let's continue talking about the East African Community Forces. What went wrong there? What else can we do? If you are someone who is an organizer, if you are someone who is a humanitarian, get in touch with me. There are humanitarians who are going into places like Goma or Bukavu to do some good work. So get in touch with me in the comments. Let's see how we can support each other on a humanitarian level, and also continue to build a strong coalition on a structural level to support the DRC.
Make this make sense. So the very same person who has been sentenced to death for various crimes such as war crimes, treason, and in absentia is now in Kenya trying to form a whole new opposition government. An operation to save Congo, the very same country that you were a president of for 18 years, from 2001 to 2019, a dictatorship, left the country in shambles, accused of affiliation with the M23, and here we are in 2025 in Kenya trying to form an opposition government to save Congo. Wow. So Joseph Kabila was spotted in Nairobi, and he held a meeting last week, I think it was on the 14th and the 15th of October, with various opposition leaders to form an operation, or to discuss an operation that is going to save Congo from the dictatorship under Felix Tshisekedi. Now, the Congolese spokesperson Patrick Muyaya has said that this should be regarded as a non-event and rather should be looked at as a meeting of fugitives and ex-convicts. Now, part of the people who were present in this meeting is former Prime Minister of Congo, Augustin Matata, who was sentenced in May to a decade in prison for corruption. So basically the cause of this meeting is that Congo is facing a deep crisis in that President Felix Tshisekedi does not want to have interactive dialogue with the M23, and that President Felix Tshisekedi has failed to enact policies and basically to meet the needs of the population. They are not wrong. So out of their 14-point declaration, a statement sprang out, and they said, "From every corner and crevice of Congo, let us unite and take daily actions to save the DR Congo. Every gesture matters and will count towards victory and dignity. They also vowed to launch a diplomatic offensive to alert the international community to DR Congo's crisis, and this is according to the BBC. Obviously, Congo has also raised concerns to Kenya for hosting these leaders that are affiliated with the M23. However, Kenya has not released a statement on that regard. So what do we have here? We have two not so good people who are trying to prove to the population that they are the better not so good person, and that the other not so good person is the worst of them all. That's what we're seeing here. But at the end of the day, it is the population that is always going to suffer. What remains the same is that the humanitarian situation in the East is dire, and it is the women and the children who are suffering the most. If you follow accounts such as Focus Congo and various other humanitarian organizations that are on the ground, as they interact with the victims, you are going to see that the situation is getting worse, and these are the forgotten victims. You know, nobody's talking about this. We have a president who has not said a word to the people of the East, and then we have an opposition government that is sort of forming to try and save the population. But also amongst you is somebody who was president for 18 years and still left the country in shambles. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But at the end of the day, let us not forget the humanitarian aspect. The people, and the people are still suffering. And the goal is simple: peace. Peace in our country. You know, ever since I was born, I have not experienced what true peace and true freedom and true security feels like. Also, we live in a country that has many smart minds, but those minds are not nourished. You know, the education system is flawed, and this is heightened by the war and insecurity. All we want is peace and a country where its citizens will flourish and excel. That's all. That's literally all we want.
Republic of the Congo is now free from Belgian rule, and I am proud to announce that we have formed a ruling coalition here, not based off of religion or even ideology, but based on the will of the Congolese people. We are now in control of our own destiny, and I, the Prime Minister, along with the President of the Congo, you know, I'm pretty right-wing myself. Normally I would not align myself with such a obvious liberal, but it's for the good of the people of the Congo. Big shit popping, little shit stopping, you know how it goes. As well as the Chief of Staff of our army, I'm a very trustworthy individual. I'm definitely not working with any outside sources. We are going to provide a Congo that works for the people. A Congo that works for the people? Now what kind of talk is that? Smells like communist talk. Just give it to me straight when it comes to the new Prime Minister of the Republic of the Congo. Is this guy, or is he not, a fucking communist? To be honest, sir, we simply don't know. I mean, he's certainly a liberal, which is bad enough. He hasn't done anything specifically communist. You know, he hasn't nationalized any industries. He considers himself neutral in the Cold War, non-aligned movement type shit. But you know what we say. If you ain't with us, then you're probably fucking against us. We can't get a good read on the guy, but we do believe that in his hands, the Republic of the Congo could fall into Soviet influence, which I don't need to tell you would be disastrous. Of course, you don't have to tell me that. The Republic of the Congo has some of the greatest natural resources on Earth. They got uranium. We need that for our nuclear bombs. They got cadmium, which we need for the batteries, zinc, which I need for my insides. They got cobalt. And all the tech people assure me that in 60 years, cobalt will become one of the most important elements on Earth. If we lose that to the Soviet Union, the damage would be incalculable. Mr. President, I don't think the question is whether or not Patrice is a communist. I think the question is whether or not we can take a chance of him becoming a communist. Oh, shit. You got company, sir. Mr. President, I am Patrice Lumumba. I am the new Prime Minister of the Republic of the Congo, and I would like to speak to you. Whoa, speak of the devil. We were just talking about you. What brings you to the United States? Well, sir, shortly after I took control in my country, several uprisings and rebellions started to occur. We even have a breakaway state trying to form in the Katanga province of my country. It is a very resource-rich portion of the country. I was hoping that your military could provide me with some support in order to beat back these rebellions. If I help him, then I can use that as leverage to turn him into an asset of the United States. But wait, if I allow these rebellions to flourish in his country, then maybe they will topple his regime, remove him from power, and I can prevent the Congo from falling into the hands of the dirty fucking communists. It's a no fucking brainer. Patrice, isn't it? Yeah, it's gonna be a fucking no from us when it comes to military support. But we will allow the UN to step in and help you guys out. You mean the United Nations? How can they help me in a military capacity? They don't even have an army. Well, no, of course not. They will be there as peacekeepers. You know, helping to keep the peace. So keep the peace, Patrice. We'll be watching you. Well, I didn't expect to come to you all for help, but I've gone to many places, and no one seems willing to assist me. I was wondering if you all were willing to step up to the plate. So you have come to us for help. Okay, we can help. But not military. No, that's impossible. But, you know, we can give you food and aid, other resources. But of course, we would want something in exchange. Okay, what do you guys want? Copper. We want the copper. You have lots of copper. Give us the copper. Copper? That's it? Okay, man, I thought you were going to ask for uranium or maybe something sexual. But no, copper. I can give you copper. We got all the copper in the fucking world. We got you. Mr. President, it has been confirmed that Patrice Lumumba has been meeting with the Soviet Union. He's asked them for assistance dealing with the rebellions in his country, and we believe the Soviets are cooperating. I don't think we have to wonder about this guy anymore. Got to be more careful. Well, we got to take this motherfucker out. Any suggestions? Well, we could get...
Name redacted. Name redacted.
To, you know, poison him. Yeah, we could get...
Name redacted.
To do that, but he's busy right now. Instead, let's get our guy Larry to do that. Don't we have a guy on the inside, Larry? They want me to take out Prime Minister Patrice. I mean, he seems like a decent dude, but we got to do what we got to do, right? I mean, what do you think about that? It has come to my attention that our prime minister is allowing Soviets to have influence in our country. And he committed atrocities against the people in Katanga to put down one of those rebellions. For those reasons, I am dismissing him as prime minister. You got to go, Patrice. Wait a minute, you can't do that. You don't have the legal authority to do that. I am still the rightful prime minister and leader of Congo. Not anymore, bro. I've seen enough. Okay, the military under my leadership is officially launching a coup against Patrice to remove him from power and restore order to Congo. Et fucking Brutus, you gonna do this shit too, man? Why the fuck are you guys coming at me from both sides like this? Who's really behind this shit? I mean, he seems like a decent dude, but we gotta do what we gotta do, right? I mean, what do you think about that? I think you're not gonna have to worry about Patrice much longer. I think the Belgians have a plan, and I have a plan. The president has a plan. And if you give me a little bit of cash, well, maybe your plans can combine with our plans, and we can do this every weekend. You know, in hindsight, I don't even think Patrice was a communist. Oh well, what's for dinner? The Republic of the Congo is now free from Belgian rule, and
Guys, Congo, 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 Congo. We need to be talking about Congo. That sentence right there has been echoing across social media. We have probably seen videos of people crying, pleading, begging for the world to care. And yet, it feels like barely anyone does. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is going through one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world right now. And despite the horror, despite the images, despite the death counts, it silences the famine silence. Over 70 people massacred, a church turned into a grave, women raped, children disfigured, and nobody is talking about it. In July 2025, the Allied Democratic Forces, or ADF, stormed a church vigil in Kamada, eastern Congo. They killed dozens of people, including children, and abducted more. This isn't some distant tragedy. This is now. This is happening as you listen to this. And what makes it even more disturbing is that this wasn't the first. Since the summer, the ADF has been hitting villages across North Kivu, attacking funerals, homes, markets, entire communities. And why the world's attention is glued to Gaza or Ukraine or the US, election or celebrity gossip, Congo bleeds in silence. But here's where it gets even darker. The ADF isn't just another rebel group. They have been linked to ISIS. They are not fighting for freedom, they are spreading terror. And because international peace talks are focused on Rwanda and the M23 rebels, the ADF is operating unchecked. They are feeling the security vacuum and getting deadlier by the day. Now, you did think that something like this, churches being burned, children being kidnapped, people being hacked to death, would dominate headlines, but instead is silence. The same outlets that post breaking news every 5 minutes when a Western country is attacked barely whisper when the victims are Africa. And that is where the frustration online is coming from. There's a viral video of a young black woman saying she's advocates more for Palestinians because, quote, Palestinians people market their suffering better than Congo or Sudan. Let's pause on that for a second because that sentence alone reveals a lot about where we are as a global society and how social media has reshaped our empathy into something performative. The idea that people have to market their suffering for you to care is a brutal reflection of the age we live in. How did we get here? How did we reach a point where compassion depends on hashtags, filters, a trendy sound? Congo shouldn't need to hire a PR firm to prove it in pen. Sudan shouldn't have to produce viral footage to be seen as real. And yet, that is the world we have built, where suffering complete for visibility like is a product on a shelf. When people say Congo doesn't get attention because Africans don't market their pen well, what they are really saying is, I only care when it's convenient and it's statistics, when it fits into the kind of activism that gets likes. But Congo's story isn't tight, it's not cinematic, it's ugly, it's complex, and it implicates powerful nations, including the very ones people think are saviors. Because let's tell the truth, the reason the West isn't talking about Congo is because they are funding the very chaos they pretend to more. Every phone, every tablet, every electric car battery relies on cobalt. And where does most of the world's cobalt come from? The Democratic Republic of Congo. Children dig it up with their bare hands, families are displaced so corporations can mine it, armed groups fight over it, and Western companies quietly buy it. So when you trace the blood trail, you realize isn't just an African conflict, it's a global system built on exploitation. It's an entire chain of suffering that powers the luxuries of the developed world. That is why the silence exists, because the truth, if spoken loudly enough, would indicate some of the most powerful companies and governments on earth. But instead of outrage, we get apathy. Instead of global coverage, we get shadow bans and algorithmic indifference. And that is what people are reacting to online, the imbalance of empathy. When Gaza suffers, millions post. When Ukraine was invaded, the whole internet changed profile pictures. But when Congo bleeds, people scroll past it. And some of those people are black, which makes it even more heartbreaking. Because we, all people should understand the sting of being ignored, the exhaustion of screaming into silence, and yet some of us still manage to look away, or worse, justify our apathy with excuses like they don't market it well. What does that even mean? There are hundreds of Congolese activists and journalists risking their lives to report the truth. There are people uploading videos daily, explaining the M23 rebellion, exposing the child mining industry, highlighting the refugee crisis, but no one amplifies them because the algorithm doesn't reward African pen, and when it does appear, it's usually stripped of humanity, raw, graphic. They conceptualize, people repost the horror without understanding the system behind it. So what happens? We become desensitized, suffering becomes content. We scroll past massacres like they are memes. But here's what we need to understand. Congo's crisis is not new. For decades, this region has been torn apart by wars, fueled by minerals, foreign interests, and corruption. Millions have died, literally millions, in what the UN once called Africa's World War. It's not just internal chaos, it's organized, funded, and perpetuated by global demand. Every country that profits from cheap electronics, batteries, and weapons shares some responsibility. And yet, when the people of Congo cry out, the world says we didn't know. But we do know, we just choose not to care. There is something deeply painful about selective empathy, how the world decides whose pen is valid and who is background noise. And it's not just Western media, even within black communities online, there is a heritage of outrage. Some people will cry for Gaza but mock Africans for demanding the same attention. That is internalized colonialism at work, a mindset that says some struggles are fashionable and others are embarrassing. But the truth is, the death of a Congolese child matters as much as any other child. A woman raped in Goma deserves the same empathy as one in Kivu or Rafa. Human suffering doesn't need a marketing strategy. So when that girl said Palestinians market their pain better, what she really revealed was her own distance from African pain. And maybe that is the real strategy, that even among black people, African suffering is treated like a secondary issue. We have been conditioned to see Africa as a land of endless crises instead of a continent full of people who love, live, and dream just like anyone else. The tragedy of Congo is just the war itself, but the way the world has normalized it, the way we only pay attention when it's viral, then forget when it's not. And to those who say, well, we can't care about everything, you are right. We can't carry the weight of every war, but what we can do is stop justifying why we ignore some. If you are suffering and your first instinct is to critical its presentation, you have already lost your humanity, because empathy doesn't need a marketing team, it just needs honesty. And the honest truth is, we are failing Congo, we are failing Sudan, we are failing every overlooked black nation whose blood doesn't trend. Right now, as you listen to this, somewhere in North Kivu, a mother is burying her child. Somewhere in Ituri, families are running from gunfire. Somewhere in Kamada, the ashes of a church still holds the bones of people who just wanted to pray. And yet, the world grows on. That is why voices are rising online. That is why you are seeing so many creators, journalists, and ordinary people pleading. Talk about Congo, because silence kills, ignorance kills. And maybe the least we can do in a world that profits from their pain is to at least say their names and tell their stories. So the next time someone says Congo doesn't market its pain well, we can say no, you just wasn't listening, because the screams were there all along.
And if you watched up to this extent, don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just share your thought? Subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.